Well, what's up YouTube? My name is Chad. This is the Wisco Boater channel. It is only 5 days since Thirsty Whale came out of the water, and I just can't help myself. I'm already working on a project. So it is 5 days after the after Thirsty Whale came out of the water, which was Monday, October 17th. It's Friday, October 21st. This video is going to be out weeks down the road. I brought the screens home from the boat. I've got them laid out all over the place here. There's probably plenty of videos out there on how to replace a screen, but I'm gonna go through the cleaning process. My screen's not in the best shape. So you can see here with this one, if I look at it, I don't know if you can see that or not, it's got dirt, dust, spider poop all over the screen. Some of these screens had tears. You can see there's a little tear right there in this one. Some of them were kind of ripped away from the spline, and they just I'm just gonna replace them because they're dirty, they're nasty. The splines they're rubber, but these are so old that they've almost become plasticized, and I'll show you that when I remove the spline on one of these screens. I'm also doing a full cleaning of the screens, not only the frames, but inside the channels. A lot of my screens didn't slide smoothly. There's a couple of issues that contribute to that. One is just how dirty they are. And you can see the dirt and grime and spider webs and not spider webs, but spider baby pouches, I guess you'd call them. The tracks are just dirty. And what I'm doing is completely cleaning these out. The other contributing factor to why some of these screens don't slide well is because, well, this screen here was actually installed upside down. There's a little bottom clip that goes in this notch right there. And you can see the tension spring is on this side. So this screen was put in like this, and it should be like this, but the tension spring's up here. And this screen had no bottom clips in it whatsoever. So it was just kind of hovering with no track to slide on. I mean, it slid, but it was not smooth because it didn't have a good seat to the track that it slides on. So let me show you one of these bottom clips here, because I already have one pulled out. This is what it looks like. And these, unfortunately, are no longer made, no longer available. I've been in touch with TaylorMade on these. These screens and all the windows on the boat are made by TaylorMade. This little bottom clip is actually on their website. It's part number 1170800, but it's not available. So I called them, talked to them about it. I've emailed them, I've sent them pictures. This clip is just not available. So that's one thing I'm gonna have to deal with. I'm either going to see about moving the good ones to the center of the screen, but I think that's going to create some imbalance when you're trying to slide it. Got another possible solution using a different style of clip. The tension springs that TaylorMade made look like this. They have this little nub on the bottom here that slides into this that center track right down there. Now, unfortunately, as mentioned before, this part is also no longer available, and I have scoured the internet the last couple of days. There are no tension springs that I can find that are made in plastic anymore. Everything is metal. Nothing really looks like this, so I'm gonna have to see about doing some sort of modification with metal springs. I think that's a bad idea because they're probably just going to end up rusting. They probably won't slide as well, but without an option to use plastic again, I think I'm gonna have to do that. A lot of this one's in good shape. That's a good part. A lot of them look like this. The tension springs are broken, and this little piece here is also broken. So there's a bunch of them that look like that. So not only am I going to clean out all the tracks with a bunch of different tools, using obviously a rag with some soapy water. I've got some 99% alcohol. I've got a little brush here. This is a pin vise that fits perfectly down in that track to push the rag down in and clean all that out. I've got a pick to get the old spline out. Blade to cut the screen once it's installed, and then this is the spline insertion tool, and I'll show all this when I do one of the screens. So I've got one of them done already. This one here has a new screen in it, and it's completely cleaned up. See, the tracks are nice and clean all the way top to bottom, and I don't have the new springs, the new tension springs to put in this, but that right there is one of the bottom clips that I was hoping to replace with new, but that's just not gonna happen. So I'm gonna try to reuse as many of these bottom clips as I can. This one does have both of them. This one down here has a break in it, but it still appears to be functional. I'll show you how to pull the spline out on one window, and then I'll use another frame that I need to clean up still. And I have one piece of screen left that fits one window that I have left to do. And then tomorrow I've got a whole new roll of screen arriving, so I'll be able to do the rest of them. So let's get one of these other ones on the bench here. I'll show you how to pull that rubber, plasticized rubber out of the channel, take the screen off, and we'll clean up a frame and then put a screen in. Well, I was gonna use this particular screen to show you how to pull that spline out, but when I picked it up, the aluminum weld here broke. So this one is gonna have to get JB welded before I pull that screen out, so I'll grab another one. It looks dirtier than it is. That's all under the workbench there. But yeah, these older parts, they get moved around a lot, and things end up breaking. So, but some JB weld in this corner, right where that aluminum weld is, we'll fix this one up. So I'll grab another screen and we'll pull the screen off, or pull the spline out, and get the screen pulled off. Okay, so we're working on a different window. I actually found that I have two screen windows that have broken welds, so we'll get those fixed with some JB weld. But to remove the original spline, it's this black piece here that runs down the channel, and you take a pick and just start to pry one end out. The first one that I did came out in pieces. The second one I did came out in one piece. So we'll see what this one looks like. All right, so far so good on this one. All right, good. That one came out in one piece. Now this stuff, I'm sure back when it was new, was probably soft and very pliable. It's now starting to become plasticized, and you can see you can bend it and it stays bent. It's also a little bit of a different shape. All right, so you can see what the profile looks like here on this one, kind of a V shape. It's really hard. If it's rubber, it's really hard. If it's plastic, I mean, it's on the softer side of plastic, but we are not using this style of spline for putting the windows back in. I'm using this rounded spline. It's hollow in the middle. Fits the track perfectly. So the screen just pops right out. And we'll just discard this. You don't need that as a pattern for the new screen. Now, this particular window frame, I don't have a piece that's long enough to put the screen back in. I do have, as mentioned before, I have more screen material coming tomorrow, but I do have a piece of screen here that is big enough for the square window. So I'll get that and we'll show you how to put the screen back in. All right, so putting in a new screen, have a piece that's larger than the frame and just kind of get it squared up. And you can start anywhere with the new spline. I like to start at the bottom left corner. That doesn't really matter. So you just get that started to press in there, and then you take your spline insert tool, push that down in there, and just be sure to keep the screen straight when the spline is going in. Okay, spline is in. This extra here we'll cut off with an X-Acto. Going around the corner, just want to pull the screen a little bit taut, and then I like to use the 90-degree pick tool here to get this corner to go in. And then once the corner is set, then we can go back to our spline tool here. By the way, the spline tool does have two sides to it. This has a groove for round spline, and this side is a V-shape for that the older stuff that came out. So once again here, just try to keep the screen fairly straight. And once you have two sides in, this is where you need to keep the screen, some tension on the screen to make sure that it stays taut when you're putting in the other two sides. So once again, using the pick, get the corner pushed in. Okay, corners pushed in. We'll get our spline straightened out, and we'll keep just a little bit of tension on the screen itself along the way. It's going to pull tight by itself as the spline pushes the screen down into the channel. And by the way, I did clean the channel before I started doing this. One side to go. Pull on the screen just a little bit. Last corner. And we'll run the rest of the spline in. Okay, screen is in. Now we'll use an X-Acto to cut the end off here. and go back to our pick to push the ends down into the channel, nice and tight. Okay, now we take our X-Acto and we'll just run around the edge here, cut off our excess. The only thing you want to be careful of here is not to get the X-Acto blade at the wrong angle and cut into the spline. But you can use the channel as a guide, so you don't go that far. Corners might have a few little pieces that need to be trimmed before the screen will come out, or yeah, the excess screen will come out. Just cut those. Get rid of our excess cutoff. And then I like to go around one more time, starting at the ends. And that is putting in a new screen. All right, so now that the new screen is put in on this particular frame, I'll go around and do all the track cleaning and get this looking real nice again. But yeah, you can see that screen looks really, really nice. So we'll get all this nastiness cleaned up on the frame here, make it look nice and good again. And that'll be 2 done. So I have 6 of these to do, and more screen arriving tomorrow. So this is the last piece I'm gonna do today. But this is a pretty easy DIY job that if you have worn out screens or torn screens, you can easily do this yourself. Quick update before I wrap up for the day. I've got this corner set up for JB Weld. I also put a little bit in that corner. That one wasn't broken, but it had a little bit of a crack, so got some JB Weld there. This screen has not been cleaned or replaced yet. I want to get the frame sturdy before I do that. And I also took one of the frames over to a local place here in town that does screens and glass and windows and that kind of stuff. I took the plastic tension spring and the bottom clip over there with me. He looked at him and said, yeah, you can't get those anymore, but let me see if I can make something for you. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully that works out, or at least something that will work well enough. We'll see what you can come up with. I am pretty much out of things to do for today as far as bow stuff goes, so it's time to go inside, fix a drink. It's Friday night, and enjoy the evening. So we'll see you tomorrow. All right, it is a couple days later. I've got my roll of new screen. So I have enough to finish out these windows. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up a time lapse of this, run through these, get the screens done, get frames all cleaned up, and then we'll come back to seeing what the people at Total Glass were able to come up with as far as these bottom clips and tension springs go. So enjoy some music while we do a time lapse. well, I'm gonna go ahead and end this part of the video here because unfortunately, the local place that I took it to here in town was unable to fabricate a part. He actually used the words, "I couldn't find the parts," so I'm wondering if he either forgot what he told me he was going to do or just decided that he couldn't do it and search for parts instead. Regardless, it's not going to work. The next step here is to send these parts, the tension spring and the bottom clip. I am going to send those to a buddy of mine down in Illinois who has a very high-end 3D printer. We're going to try and print these in regular plastic first just to make sure that they can be printed. Then there is another material that can be printed that has some properties that allow it to be kind of springy, just like this original stuff is here. So this one is a good part. If I can get 12 of them made that are brand new, I'll use the brand new parts. So the screen project continues. I'll update that at some point over the winter when I get back to it. But for now, thanks for watching this episode of the Wisco Boater channel. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, send me some comments. And if you want to be notified when I post new videos like this one, hit that notification bell. We'll see you next time on the Wisco Boater channel. Happy boating, everybody.